This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
May is Foster Care Month, and most every day of the year is about foster care for Cheryl Flick. The Western New York woman's not only fostered 15 children, but since 2018 has been working with other foster parents to operate the Western New York Foster Closet, distributing donated clothing and other necessities to foster families.
So my husband and I were foster parents, and we had 15 kids come through our doors over a 9-year period, and all of them came with almost absolutely nothing. The most anybody came with that was really usable was a little boy who came with 3 pairs of pants, 3 t-shirts, a pair of pajama pants, and the clothes on him, and he was school age. We've taken in infants right from Children's Hospital that come with absolutely nothing, and we've taken in teenagers who came with clothes that they should not be going to school in because they're not going to fit in with their peers, they're not going to be comfortable, and that's what you want any child to be able to fit in and feel comfortable and proud of, what they're wearing and who they are. So I heard of another closet open in Pennsylvania, and I said to a couple other foster mom friends that we needed something like this here, so we all jumped together and started this back in 2018 then.
So you had 15 foster kids come through. What led it on your heart to
foster? So my husband and I wanted a bigger family, and it just wasn't in the cards for us. We have 3 biological children, and after 3, it just wasn't in the cards for us. So I was volunteering with an organization out of New York City called the Fresh Air Fund, and we welcomed a little girl into our home. She came to us at 6 or 7 years old, and our 3 kids just fell in love with this little girl who lived a completely different lifestyle than they did, lived in a completely different area, and they just all became the best of friends for the 10 days she was with us. She came back to us several summers in a row to visit, and I was on a bus in Harlem because I volunteered with the Fresh Air Fund, and I saw these 2 kids sitting on this black spiked metal fence in Harlem. And I looked at them, and it just turned in my heart, and I called my husband, and I said, that's it, that's the straw that broke the camel's back, we need to foster. Something about that, I can still remember it today, just said to me, this is what you're called to do, this is what you have to do. So we took the foster care classes and then fostered for 9 years, 15 kids. The last 2 kids that we had, we adopted, so we now have 5 children.
Modern day Waltons.
Yep. Yes.
So talk to somebody who not even quite sure exactly what that entails. So you speak from great experience. What's it like? What's the rewards? What's the heartaches?
Yeah, you see the best of the best and the worst of the worst. A child being taken from their home is a traumatic experience for them and the parents, everybody involved. It's never a good situation for a child to have to leave. And then if they're in foster care, they're taken to a stranger's home. So they don't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect. It's a new ball game for everybody involved. So it's a big learning process for everybody when a child comes to your house. A lot of patience, a lot of understanding, and a lot of love. And so typically there's a honeymoon phase. We usually say, where like everything's great for a few weeks, and then everybody's comfortable, and it becomes a real life family, and you see a lot of different things happening. And then you just gotta adjust and modify, and have conversations with everybody in the house, and everybody come back together for the betterment of the child.
And what have you seen since you opened this to help out? I mean, anybody who's reared children, either foster or otherwise, knows how expensive it is.
Right.
It's daunting. So
well,
this must be really helpful.
Yeah, that's a big part of the reason we started, because everybody who volunteers for the closet fosters or did at one point, so they knew the financial strain that it could be placed on a family. Our 2 kids showed up December 31st, a week after Christmas, so we had Christmas with our own 3 children, and then 2 school-age children showed up with nothing that they could wear to school. So on top of needing to buy sneakers and everything else from head to toe, we had to go and buy backpacks, gym sneakers, and school supplies, which if you have ever had to buy school supplies in a month other than August or September, there are no sales.
Good luck with that.
So, you're looking for things and it's hard to find them, and they're more expensive, So we knew that this would initially relieve the burden of children when they came into care. There has been a huge push for children to go with family the last few years, so we're seeing way more grandparents coming in, aunts, uncles, and great-grandparents that have taken in 1 or up to 7 children at one time. So if you can imagine shopping for one child,
you can't imagine as being a great-grandparent shopping for 7.
Yeah, we've had great-grandparents coming in their 80s, shopping for great-grandchildren because they don't want them to end up in foster care. They want them to stay with them. So they're doing it all for the right reasons, Unfortunately, we see so many family members that are taking in kids that are struggling to make ends meet for themselves. And so now to provide clothing for the different seasons that we see here in the Western New York area is a lot because, we needed, our cold weather clothes last week, and this week we need our summer clothes,
need it all here.
Right? So your clothing, your pajamas, your footwear, bedding, and, stuffed animals, and, all kinds of things. If you take in a baby, if you have a grandchild that's born, there's a lot of baby gear that you need,
Diapers alone is...
Just diapers alone. Diapers and wipes are an expense.
Oh,
so we really help, with that financial burden that's placed on a lot of families. And we have a lot of people that come in. We had one today. She said, my alarm went off last week in my phone reminding me I can come in and replenish things for my granddaughter because that's how dependent people become on us.
And that's got to be, as somebody who's been on the other side of that so many times, it's got to be a really good feeling to know.
It's very rewarding knowing that people know they can rely on us and they can come here and get the things that they need. And they're so thankful when they leave for what they've been able to get.
Talk to somebody who maybe is thinking of fostering. And I don't even want to say sell them on it, but just give them the picture of why it can be such a blessing.
Yeah, no, it can absolutely be a blessing because you're changing somebody's life. You're making a positive impact. And I hear constantly, I could never foster because I would have to give the children up and send them back home. And that happens all the time. And my husband and I experienced it where you fall in love with children and then they leave your house and you're home crying for days or weeks or months or years. But you know that at the end of the day, you did what was right for that child when they needed it.
So you have to go in there with that realistic expectation.
Right.
That this is...
The goal is always for the child to return home no matter what happened in this situation. So you have to keep that at the forefront of your mind.
That's Cheryl Flick, a veteran foster mom and founder of the Western New York Foster Closet, aiding fellow foster families. Please join us again next time as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.